What is the deal, Wiz fam? Man, freaking I am tired here. Well, not really, not really, not really. But anywho, we are here with Disaster Thorn, Disaster Thon. I like it. True horror. So this is the infamous Superman drop tower disaster. The fate of Caitlyn. Uh, I don't want to say the last name. I'm gonna say Caitlyn Lass. I don't want to fuck up the last name. So yeah. I don't know this story. So we're gonna go ahead and give our respects now, just in case you don't know. But let's see, because now I'm intrigued. Let's get into it.
On the 21st of June 2007, Kaitlyn Lassiter and her two friends were enjoying a day out at Kentucky Kingdom when the unthinkable happened. Whilst riding the drop tower ride known as the Superman Tower of Power, the ride malfunctioned, resulting in horrific consequences that would change Kaitlyn's life forever. The investigation into the incident shone a light on a multitude of failures, showing the disaster could have been completely avoided. But what happened that day? And what happened to Kaitlyn? Let's talk about it. This is the infamous Superman Tower of Power disaster.
I think I used to hear about this one. Now, not this story, but that ride specifically, the Superman Tower. I think I used to hear about it when me and the homies back in the day, we used to talk about roller coasters at different places and stuff like that. I'm not really sure. Yeah, sucks we don't still talk anymore.
Kaitlyn and her family resided in Germantown, Kentucky, around 2.5 hours from Kentucky Kingdom. Germantown is a neighborhood in Louisville known for its German heritage and quaint urban setting. She lived with her parents, Brandy and Monique Lassiter, and attended Highland Middle School, where she was described as being well liked and sporty. One student at Highland Middle School said, "There's like the popular group, and she was in that, and I knew her pretty well, but my sister was one of her best friends." Another student named Austin said, "She's a fun person, very cool, just a fun person to hang out with." Kaitlyn had just recently turned 13, and her parents were granting her more freedoms, which she was thrilled about. And on June the 21st, 2007, Kaitlyn had planned on going to Kentucky Kingdom in Louisville with two of her close friends. She was beyond excited, and when that Thursday rolled around, Randy and Monique dropped Kaitlyn off at Kentucky Kingdom, not knowing that theirs and Kaitlyn's life was about to change forever. Kentucky Kingdom is a popular theme park located in Louisville, Kentucky, and it first opened its doors on May the 22nd, 1987. The park spans 67 acres, has a water park, and features a variety of attractions including roller coasters, thrill rides, and entertainment. Some of these rides include the Lightning Run, a steel roller coaster known for its steep drops and intense airtime, the Thunder Run, a wooden roller coaster which opened in 1990, making it one of the park's oldest coasters, and of course, the super.
Judging from that, if you've been to Valley Fair, it's like Old Raggedy. I find that name hit me the second I got on the roller coaster. I'm like Old Raggedy. Like wait the fuck a minute. So to have that old ride, I feel like if they're gonna have that ride, they should just have it as a attraction, like have it to look at. Like this, just roller coaster was here and this time. But let's get back to it.
Superman Tower of Power. Kentucky Kingdom was previously owned by the popular theme park chain Six Flags, and in 1995, they debuted a new one of a kind ride known as the Elevator, which would later be renamed the Superman Tower of Power. The Tower of Power was a drop ride which involves a vertical ascent followed by a sudden freefall drop. Riders are typically seated in a gondola, which is lifted to the top of a tall tower or structure using a system of cables, chains, or hydraulics. Once at the top, the gondola is released, allowing gravity to pull it down at a high speed. High-strength steel cables are integral to both the ascent and descent phase of the attraction. The cables lift the gondola to the top of the tower for a smooth ascent and secure it for the drop. During the descent, they regulate the speed. Riders would take a seat in one of the four carriages affixed to the tower. They were then launched 177 feet into the air at 12 miles per hour, held there for several seconds, and then plunged down around 154 feet at 54 miles per hour to the bottom. The ride was manufactured by Liechtenstein-based company Intamin. Intamin, short for International Amusement Installations, is a leading manufacturer of amusement rides and roller coasters, headquartered in Schaan, Liechtenstein.
You know why they call
On that day, Kaitlyn and her friends had already been on a few rides before going on the Superman Tower of Power. They went on the ride once and had no problems. When they got off, they noticed the queue for the ride was small. As they enjoyed the ride so much, they decided to go on the ride again, a decision that would change Kaitlyn's life forever. They got onto the ride, sat down, and it set off. As the girls approached the top, the seat began shaking violently. Immediately, the group knew something was wrong and began to scream. Kaitlyn would go on to state, "As we started to go up, we were laughing about something, and then it is almost as if it jolted a little bit or something, like a whipping sound. During this shaking, a rope snapped, hitting Kaitlyn, which busted her lip. The group were now screaming for the ride operator to stop and do something, but nothing was done. She said, "We looked up, and there were a bunch of cables falling, and this was only about 20 feet off the ground. It kept going up, and at that point, I had cables all over my body. There was a cable hanging below me. They were cables all over my friends." Thinking quickly, Kaitlyn removed one of the cables from her torso. She remembered the moment as the ride began the descent. She said, "My lip was busted, I had cuts all over me, and I was bleeding and freaking out. I remember smoke and the smell of burning. I felt like I was going to die. We kept screaming, 'Stop the ride.' People were frantically freaking out. I remember something else fell on us, which was more cable. We even had cables around our necks, and we pulled them off. Something hard hit our head, and then we dropped." During the fall, one of the ropes had wound its way around both of Kaitlyn's feet. This shattered her left femur and severed both of her feet as they plummeted to the bottom. Her feet had now been completely cut off from the ankles below. According to one newspaper, as the car climbed, the operator heard the cable snap and heard screaming, but didn't hit the emergency stop button in time. He hit it just before their descent, meaning that the locks on the ride were now stuck in place, which meant that Kaitlyn was now trapped in her seat. Emergency services were on the scene almost immediately, and once she was taken out of the seat, she was transported to UL Hospital. Kaitlyn was in a bad way, but she was stable. At the hospital, the doctors were able to reattach Kaitlyn's right foot, but her left foot was too badly damaged to restore and had to be amputated below the knee. Miraculously, Kaitlyn survived. The ride was then closed until further notice, never to be reopened again, as it was demolished a year later in 2008. An investigation into the incident was launched immediately, and it wasn't long until they found their answers. According to investigators, multiple elements converged to create a disaster, but the cable itself snapped due to fatigue and deterioration over time. The report did
Something like I said about that first roller coaster, right? I said something about that old and shit like that. Come on, bruh.
show, however, that it was scientifically impossible to tell how long the cable had been in bad shape, or to pinpoint one specific cause for the wire to snap. One of the experts brought in to examine the cable said it had likely deteriorated gradually. He believed if they were regularly maintained like the theme park claimed they were, they should have been able to spot it. In a deposition following the accident, John Smith, the park's ride maintenance manager since 1999, revealed the technicians for the theme park never did a hands-on examination on any of the 10 cables on the ride before the tragedy and never brought it to his attention. He claimed these inspections were part of the guidelines and that they should have been done every day. Smith also stated that the park did not lubricate the cables on a daily basis. In short, there were a series of failures and this incident could have been completely avoided. In the aftermath, the park was fined $1,000, and in response to the tragedy, the Kentucky General Assembly passed a state legislation prohibiting most high school students from running theme park thrill rides, as the ride operator that day was only 18 years old. The Lassiter family then sued Kentucky Kingdom for negligence, and a settlement was reached for an undisclosed fee. It was claimed in the J. Beasley report that the settlement would provide lifetime care for Kaitlyn. In other words, they would be paying her for the rest of her life. In another twist, the owner of Kentucky Six Flags sued Intamin, the ride designer, claiming they were to blame for the disaster. Of course, they didn't win their suit. Rides all over the world similar to the Superman Tower of Power were checked and made sure they were maintained up to standard. 5 months after the accident, Kaitlyn's parents told the media, "To watch our daughter continually try to overcome such extreme pain and adversity has definitely been 5 of the most trying months of our lives." After enduring months of pain and surgery, Kaitlyn began walking with the help of a prosthetic leg. and went on to tell reporters at Capitol Hill, "This accident has affected my life dramatically. If I would have died for some reason, I feel it would have just been passed on. But I'm alive and I fought and I'm here today. Now we're going to change it and make it safer." In some brilliant news, Kaitlyn's replanted foot regained motor and sensory function, meaning today it is fully functional. It is clear that Kaitlyn is a remarkable woman who, against adversity and pain, fought every step of the way to get where she is now. In recent years, Kaitlyn has kept out of the limelight and has not made many appearances in the media, which I don't blame her for. If she does somehow come across this video, I hope she's found peace, happiness, and all of this is a distant memory. As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra step to support the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. I'm not sure if it's true, but I believe Kaitlyn is now a cardiac ICU nurse. What an amazing woman. Let me know what you think about her case in the comments below. And
That's gonna do it for that one. That story was pretty damn sad. Thank God she survived. But until the next one, I'm too distracted right now. I'll holler at you.